Good morning. I would like to invite our graduates and those of us on the platforms to sit. Well, then I'll just be loud. Oh. We call it projecting. We begin on this beautiful day with a poem by Mary Oliver. When I am among the trees, especially the willows and the honey locust, equally the beech and the oaks and the pines, they give off such hints of gladness. I would almost say that they save me, and daily. I am so different from the hope of myself in which I have goodness and discernment, and never hurry through the world, but walk slowly and bow often. Around me, the trees stir in their leaves and call out, "Stay a while." The light flows from their branches, and they call again. "It's simple," they say. And you too have come into this world to do this, to go easy, to be filled with light and to shine.
Graduating seniors, parents and guardians, faculty, family, friends, alumni, trustees, and distinguished guests. Good afternoon and welcome to the 45th Commencement at Waring School. By the conclusion of today's proceedings, Waring alumni will number a lofty 810 graduates. And I'm very pleased to announce that Ella Knowles, who is one of our 3 graduates to have been at Waring since the 6th grade, will today walk as our 800th alum. Congratulations, Ella. Among our distinguished guests today, there are 2 I'd like to point out. Welcome back, Robin Vanek, our former associate head of school, class of '85, bound for France. Welcome, welcome. And right here in front of us, sitting among trustees and former teachers and friends, Dorothy Wang, assistant head of schools, director of admissions, in whose honor hangs a plaque on the gatehouse. Dorothy. And it just hits me now that several of our families have siblings that go back to Dorothy's time in admissions. It is wonderful to see you back. This event marks the culmination of celebrations for the class of 24, who have led the school with great wit and grace, and as Joan Sullivan said, much laughter throughout the week and throughout their time here at the school. I would like to give thanks to all who, in addition to our 19 seniors, have helped bring us here today. Our parents and guardians and our homestay hosts, our trustees and our chair, Joe Jutras, who will join us in a moment, our inestimable faculty and staff who modeled through their vocation a stellar dedication to learning and the liberal arts. And for shaping and executing this event today, I'd like to thank Tiffany, Jenny, Leslie, Savory, Barbara, Nick, Chris, Brandt, Joan Sullivan, Marika Whitaker, and Elizabeth Gutterman, and all the rest, the folks you see up here, who rolled up their sleeves to make today happen. As is abundantly evident, I hope, there are so many minds and hands and hearts involved in these events. This speaks to Waring's ethos of community and giving back. We owe a grand merci to our parent group volunteers under the outstanding leadership of co-chairs Katie Fawcett and John Grabowski, and to our Group 3 and 5 parent reps, Suzanne Strahl-Cooper, Kristen Cook, Christine Mastrangelo, and Jonathan Bennett Bonilla, and all of those parents and guardians who joined forces in volunteership and service over Senior Week. Thank you. finally, and I'm looking for it right now, I hope you have taken notice, better notice than I right now, I hope, of today's wonderful banner for the class of 24. And for this, we have especially Ani Bagley to thank, class of 24. Right, where are you, Ani? Ani Bagley. Thank you. And Ani worked along with Christine Mastrangelo and Bill and Sophia Loiacono from Seaside Graphics, and we're very grateful. And finally, it's this time of year where we acknowledge the bittersweet transitions and departures among our faculty and staff. There are 5 of you this year, and I will call your names to stand and be recognized. Tim Averill, Timur Amin Arsala, Marianne Durand, Emily Hellstrom, and Isabel Skillen. You have collectively given Waring School some 28 years of your vocation in classrooms on and off campus, stateside and abroad, in debate, French and immersion, humanities, the Deja office, writing, and chaperoning, even directing trips and exchanges, serving as tutors and beloved mentors to all of us. Thank you for enriching Waring School. Thank you for enriching all of us. It's my pleasure to welcome to the stage our Chair of the Board of Trustees, parent of 2 Waring alumni, Joe Jutras.
Hello and welcome. This is the 46th graduation at Waring. Last night I went to baccalaureate and found that the tutor, I've been to baccalaureate before, but it's been a while, and hearing the tutors give their remarks about each of their students, there we go, each of the students that were their tutees, and giving the remarks that the younger students made about the older students was really something special. So there's no surprise to me that that this group is graduating. I think one of the things that is surprising is that I'm up here talking. But you are here today to listen to the graduates, and I hope you enjoy a glimpse into them and their lives while here at Waring. You will hear of great friendships made between students and faculty. You will likely hear someone, Ella, I think, speak their story in French, and usually they have the English translation for me. So, so that's good. You may even hear about what they would like to see changed at Waring and in the world. I offer you just a few ideas to take with you. This is the students who are still here, the ones that are leaving here, and your families. I've taken a liking to an author named Adam Grant. He suggests that over time, you will view your success by following your values, not your goals. In his book, Think Again, he shows ways to reinvent yourself. This includes that it's okay to change your mind, change your major, change your college. Your parents probably don't want to hear that, but or change your career path. He provides a way to analyze your current situation and to stay open to rethinking in everyday life, your relationships, and your career. He discusses how changing your mind can lead to higher satisfaction and better outcomes. He even has a section titled Creating Communities of Lifelong Learners, which, if you know anything about Waring, that's in the first line. He offers an example of a teacher who assigned a reading from an outdated history book. Some students took the reading as fact, and others challenged it. The teacher's point in assigning the reading was that knowledge is often changing. Adam Grant offers that if knowledge is power, knowing what we don't know is wisdom. Thank you for listening to me, and now you can enjoy the best part of the program.
My journey at Waring is one of growth and persistence. Whether by having to memorize paragraphs of Hamlet or have the entire school sing happy birthday to me on my first ever day of camping trip in 8th grade, Waring has never failed to push me out of my comfort zone. Sometimes I wonder why I chose to spend my teenage years at Waring, and the answer to that is in the small details that make the school what it is. The details like how the sun reflects off the stream in the spring and how the snow rests so peacefully on the minefield in the winter. The feeling of gathering around a table to discuss last night's reading and seeing the faces of my classmates light up when they talk about an idea they had about the book. Or even the relief of turning in a physics problem set or even not forgetting anything on a humanities test. But in my experience, the teachers I've had here have been what makes this place so special. I could not conclude my time at Waring without sharing a few words of appreciation for those who not only have taught, but inspired me in my years at Waring. Let's start at the very beginning to Josh, whose 8th grade humanities class was where I joyfully caught myself flipping through the pages of The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck, decorating the margins with my thoughts. This was the first time in my life I've enjoyed reading in history. To KB, who was the first person here to push me out of my comfort zone and make me speak in art by having the class play a game called 20 Questions with Sophia. To Jill, who not only helped me become the writer I am today, but also encouraged me to make my voice heard in all of her classes. To Terry, for recognizing my academic growth from freshman to senior year. I really appreciate that someone was truly able to recognize that. To Joshua, for letting our humanities class paint the walls of back court and turn the wall into a mural, and for the prevailing existentialism that never failed to make me question what was truly happening in the books we read. To Joan, who helped me achieve honors in math for the first time and sparked my interest in data analysis. To Elizabeth and Tiffany, who tried to make my one semester of Waring Theater as enjoyable as possible. To Stephanie, for encouraging my interest in film photography and for pushing me to improve my printing technique and being nitpicky on the quality of my photos. And lastly, to Gallaudet, for helping me rediscover my love for the humanities and spending my year covering books in marginalia. And for making my experience writing a 20-page research paper one of the nicest things I did during my last year here. This was truly one of the best classes I've had the privilege to be in at Waring. While my time here draws to a close, I have enjoyed having the opportunity to reflect on the people who have shaped my experience. Lastly, I would like to remind everyone here today to thank the people who have helped you grow into the person you are becoming. I send my best wishes to everyone here today. Thank you.
I will admit I've struggled a lot with writing this speech, from figuring out how to begin it to what I should even write about. But the miraculous idea of writing about my most weird and humiliating moments at the school found its way to my head, so here's a small collection of some hand-selected moments. 1. Starting all the way back in 6th grade, I used to eat sticks and rocks. I don't know why, however, to this day I still believe that is the reason for my immune system being so good. 2. I was squatting my friend Tyler, who went to school here at the time, and on the way down I heard a very loud rip emitting from my behind, which ended up being a large gaping tear down the middle of my pants. No, I did not have a spare change of clothes that day. 3. I was accidentally the cause of the core winter play skipping over 2 to 3 scenes because I couldn't remember my lines as Bishop Pierre Conchon in our Joan of Arc play. 4. I decided to grow a mullet one day over COVID, and it ended up growing to a foot long. However, the chaos did not stop there. I decided to dye it pink. It was not a good look, so please do not try and find pictures of it on the Waring Smugmare page. 5. On camping trip this year, I was attempting to explain the rules of the name game we always play on the first day up in Northwoods, which is where everyone holds hands and you shout out the name of the person who's next to you, their real name or their nickname, and it starts with only the seniors, and then you add the faculty in each grade one by one. The sentence which I was attempting to say is, "I shout out Charlie." However, sometimes words and letters get a little mixed up in my head, which unfortunately resulted in me shouting, "I shart out Charlie," in front of the whole school. 6. I managed to tear my labrum in my right shoulder at the end of not the second, not the third, but the first quarter of our first lacrosse game this year. And not because I got catapulted into the air by some big dude and landed wrong on my shoulder or getting checked. No. Simply because my cleat slipped and I fell wrong and dislocated my shoulder. That is just a small handful of the moments I could recall from my years here, and it may not seem like I have a real point to make here in this speech other than to just hopefully get some laughs out of people. But the point I would like to make is that even if you have many weird or funny or embarrassing moments, you're here in a community that will laugh along with you, not at you. They'll give you reminders every now and then, like how Ella reminds me of my stick and rock eating phase, but it will always be in good spirits. They'll cheer you to the finish line even if you can't exactly run because your shoulder will hurt. This is a rare kind of community to find, so embrace it, cherish it, and be grateful for it, because I sure as hell have been grateful to be a part of this one for the last 7 years. Thank you.
Sometimes my brain likes to think. And what I like to think about is life, the big whys of the universe. I always have. When I was in 6th grade, I was in Mr. Jewell's tech ed class. On the first day, he explained all the rules to his class and then took questions. I obviously wanted to make a room of 11 and 12-year-olds laugh, so I raised my hand high up in the air and asked, "What's the meaning of life?" After a small laugh from a kid way in the back, Mr. Jewell spoke up, and he said, "I really believe this. The meaning of life is to have meaning." That stuck with me. Through everything I've done, that has stuck with me. This memory of a 6th grade class pops into my head often, almost daily. It keeps me on track and keeps me thinking about what I really want to do in life. What is my meaning? The meaning of life. To have meaning resonates with me because each of us are searching for our purpose. When I was 14 years, 8 months, and 14 days old, I fell in love with film. July 23rd, 2020 was the day a simple thing, watching Baby Driver, changed my life. Since watching it, I have seen 834 more. Since then, I've become meticulous in my film watching habits. I've mastered the art of writing paragraph-long theories directly after watching them, compressing my thoughts into a rating and review, and then logging it on Letterboxd, a silly app barely anyone has, but I'm somehow obsessed with. And I thank everyone who has had to deal with my rants about a movie that I watched yesterday. And I especially thank everyone who pretended they cared. But because of my vocal love for film, in 89 days, I'll be studying it at Ithaca College. My passion for film is that piece of my puzzle. For you, it may be science or art or French or something entirely different. Our diverse interests and paths are our strengths. Many of us graduating today are going to pursue that passion or at least continue it with it as a side project. So for the class of 2024, I wish you luck in the pursuit of your passions and enjoy every day. As my personal hero, Mr. Worldwide, Mr. 305, Pitbull, once said in his famed 2011 song, "Give Me Everything," featuring Afrojack and Neo. For all we know, we might not get tomorrow. Thank you.
Good afternoon. When I was about 11, I had a notebook that was conveniently pocket-sized. I used to walk around the neighborhood and take notes about what was going on. Things like, the eyes in the monkey statue a few doors down might be cameras. Or, there is a new no dogs allowed sign at the beach. Or, here comes my crazy neighbor who loves to gossip. In House of Spirits, my second to last humanities book at Waring, Isabel Allende describes how to write to bear witness to life. She says that to write in defiance of poor memory is to remember, that if you write it down, no matter how insignificant or substantial, it becomes real. So in 20 years, when someone asks me about what my high school experience was like, thanks to my pile of tattered, pocket-sized notebooks, I'll be able to tell them how undeniably, wonderfully bizarre this place really is. It's the people who have really shaped my memories here. Joshua, Even after having you as my tutor for 4 years, I don't think I can predict what you're going to say next. But you have shown me what genuine curiosity looks like, and your stare from behind the front desk when I stroll into school a few minutes late almost compares to mine. Jill, I cannot express what your writing classes and guidance to me as a TA has meant to me. Your intellectual graciousness inspires me in so many ways. KB, your ability to articulate what art means to you is awe-inspiring, and your dedication to our community and making sure every voice is heard is truly incredible. Gallaudet, your perspicacious insights inspire me to dig deeper, and your unwavering affirmations with the perfect amount of humor enabled me to grow. Also, thank you to my family, who have given me the privilege of completing my education here. Mom, you are perhaps the strongest person I've ever met. You attack life with more fortitude than I could ever imagine having. I could not have survived those early mornings of mindlessly flipping through AP Physics practice problems without your support. Dad, you have shown me what hard work and dedication looks like and how to properly hold my own in a discussion, as well as building up my tolerance as you pick out the perfect fishing rod. A few weeks ago, Joshua asked me what my best piece of advice for him was. As I looked through my TP, filled with bad sketches and notes, wondering if I could eat another piece of bread on junior trip, or tidbits about spaghettification theory from debate tournaments, these words and ideas from all the incredible people here are what paint my memory of this place. One of Waring's biggest gifts is shaping us all as writers. So write down your ideas, write to remember, and create a scrapbook of your experiences, because in the end, remembering is what it's all about. Thank you.
So you think you can tell heaven from hell, blue skies from day? Can you tell if you feel from across the rail, smile from a veil? Did they get you to tell? And did they get you to train? Your heroes for ghosts, all ashes for trees, all air for cool breeze, cold comfort for change. And did you exchange the walk on water and the war for the throne and the cage? I wish you were here. We're just two lost souls swimming in a fish bowl, year after year, running over the same old ground. What have we found? The same old fears. I wish that you were here.
De plus loin que je me souvienne, j'ai toujours été connue parmi les autres. Comme une petite sœur, j'ai toujours voulu faire partie d'un groupe pour être accompagnée. Je jouais au même sport et j'ai fréquenté les mêmes endroits que mes amis pendant l'été. Et quand je devais faire une activité seule, j'ai convaincu quelqu'un de le faire avec moi. Quoi que je fasse, je devais être avec quelqu'un. Par exemple, quand je suis entrée à Waring, ma sœur et ma meilleure amie y étaient déjà. De plus, lorsque je choisissais des électives et internes, je voulais toujours être avec mes amis. Et puis, voilà, l'année suivante, ma sœur est entrée à l'université. Pour la première fois, j'étais seule et très nerveuse. Et puis, j'ai commencé à réfléchir. On allait enfin me connaître moi, pour ce que je suis vraiment, et non pas comme faisant partie d'un groupe. C'est en effet ce qui est arrivé. Après une longue conversation avec ma sœur, elle m'a fait comprendre que faire des choses seule ne devait pas me faire peur et que je n'avais pas à faire partie d'un groupe pour exister. Quand j'ai commencé à faire des choses par moi-même, mon plaisir se transformait petit à petit. Je ne faisais plus les choses en fonction des autres et de leur opinion ou de leur réaction, mais pour moi. Et ces choses, je les ai appréciées et aimées. J'ai appris davantage sur moi-même, j'ai découvert des nouveaux loisirs et j'ai connu des nouveaux amis. Pourtant, le point de bascule de cette évolution fut un jour spécifique durant le voyage en France organisé par Waring. Nous étions dans le village de Caen. J'étais assise seule sur un banc. Une jeune femme française s'est installée à côté de moi et elle a commencé à me parler. Il n'y avait personne d'autre avec moi à ce moment-là, pas de professeur, pas d'amis. Pas personne pour m'aider. J'avais peur, j'avais des papillons dans le ventre quand elle m'adressait la parole. Et puis, tout à coup, je me suis entendue lui répondre dans un français qu'elle comprenait. C'est à ce moment que je me suis rendu compte que j'étais capable de vraiment parler le français, mais surtout de m'assumer en tant que personne. J'ai réalisé que non seulement j'en avais appris davantage sur moi-même, mais que j'étais à l'aise avec moi-même. Mon message ici, cet après-midi, est que le jour où tu es seul, le jour où tu as peur, en France ou ailleurs, ose, saute, prends des risques, devenir à l'aise avec soi-même.
From the words of Toni Morrison's beloved, something that is loved is never lost. My sophomore year on camping trip, which at the time was synonymous with Dante making his way through the inferno, I sank a canoe. Like really sank it. Flipped it, tried to lift it to drain the water that was rushing in at a ridiculous speed, and then watched it plummet beneath us. Immediately, I started crying. The water was freezing and my clothes were heavy, and I could have sworn I heard thunder in the distance, so obviously that meant I was going to get struck by lightning and die. As we hauled the canoe back to the surface, losing everything that was in it to the depths of Lake Winnipesaukee, Theo, I'm sorry about your flannel, Josh Webb came speeding up beside us in his tiny little kayak, calm as can be. At least one person in this situation was still floating above the water. And then I blinked or blacked out or something, and his kayak was upside down, drifting away, and he was bobbing up and down with us. To make an excruciatingly long encounter short, a rescue boat eventually saved us, and everything was completely fine. Like, literally so fine. Which was pivotal for me. I remember sitting on the rescue boat, which had no chairs, and a random piece of soggy tortellini on the floor next to me, and consciously thinking, wow, I really did not need to freak out about that. I won't say I had a whole revelation and became the most zen person alive, but it definitely did aid me into putting things into perspective. And I swear this is relevant, because I have carried that newfound sense of calm over to grappling with leaving Waring. This place is precious, bizarre as hell, but precious. And sometimes I want to freak out and scream, thinking about the change that is about to occur when I go elsewhere. But when I really think about it, Waring is a sinking canoe, and whatever's next is the rescue boat taking us back to camp. The canoe resurfaced, and if I really wanted to go back to Northwoods and get back on it, I could. But getting out and moving on that day was just as important. To avoid hypothermia, but for the sake of the metaphor, because change is good. I am eternally grateful for all of the people here who have taught me to live in every little moment and be okay with letting go. So, like Toni Morrison said more eloquently than I ever could, nothing is ever really lost, especially when you love it. I didn't necessarily love that canoe, but I do love Waring. And while I am now hopping on the rescue boat, I am not ever truly losing the canoe. Good afternoon. As I was thinking back over all my memories at Waring, I was brought to an 11th grade humanities class
in which we briefly learned about a myth which proposed the idea that humans were first created by Zeus with 4 legs, 4 arms, and most notably, 2 heads. The story goes that Zeus decided to break us apart, and we were then left with the everlasting feeling of the need for companionship, a longing to find each other and to truly connect. Whether or not this myth is true is irrelevant, because what is undeniably true is that humans as a whole crave to be together. We want to love and to be loved, to be surrounded by one another. When I came to Waring on a cold January day nearly 4 years ago, I was incredibly quiet. I hadn't been forced to interact with new people in years because of the state that our world was in at that time. I was so far away from my comfortable 8th grade class where I could express myself confidently. My social skills were rusted from lack of use, and I was like a snail inside its shell. I didn't realize what I was lacking until I came to Waring. I was pulled in by my little pod immediately. I can recall with such clarity the first interactions I had with these people. On one of my very first days, everyone was out on the ice skating rink we used to have on the minefield. I was standing there in my boots, wrapped in my jacket, watching them laugh and skate around me. A girl who I had never spoken to before, except for maybe a very brief and very awkward introduction on my first day, ran over to me. She had 2 shovels in her hands and extended one out to me. "We are going to fill these with snow and dump them on their heads," she said with a smile as she pointed at a few kids I didn't recognize. I guess this girl, who I later found out was named Michaela, had decided to skip the boring introduction formalities and start my experience at Waring off as if I had already known them all for years. Although I probably responded very awkwardly, we did dump the snow on their heads, and that act of violence was the start of some of my closest friendships at Waring. I have never been one to believe in myths. Nevertheless, the metaphor behind this myth of humans being originally created in sets of 2 rings true for me. We strive for community, for relationships with each other. These connections are what make our lives worth living rather than simply surviving. Over my time at Waring, I have found those connections. I've found it with my teammates and coaches out on the minefield, in classrooms in the barn during book discussions, in hostels late at night in the south of France, on runs over the 5K trail. I found it while looking at art in a multiplicity of museums, while at every sports banquet. I found it while swimming on camping trip in Northwoods, in waking up early to watch the sunrise at the chateau, on long drives in the back of Waring vans. I even met my best friend Lida here. This place has granted me humanity's eternal wish, connection, and has in turn given me the confidence and ability to enroll in college in another country and create more of this feeling with new people. So, what I'd like to say to younger students, take the shovel and pass it on. This oddly specific memory of dumping snow on my classmates, which I never thought would stay with me for so long, was the first thing that pulled me into this school. If you embrace the strangeness of this place, I promise you won't regret it. Waring has shone a light on what truly matters in life, what I should strive to find, and that has given me that. Thank you.
With 7 years of experience, I have found that life as a Waring student gets much easier when you live like a Labrador. Using this therapeutic method, I have learned so many important aspects of living well. Using my method, you will find yourself indulging in and embracing the good and the bad. You'll be more grateful, more energetic, more enthusiastic, and happier. I will share a quick preview of this method today. To live like a lab, you should take everything lightly and keep a big smile on your face as much as possible. Like a lab, cause trouble every once in a while because sometimes rules are meant to be broken, especially if you're having fun. It's hard not for people to get mad at you if you're contagiously enthusiastic. Make sure to apologize later. Like a lab, always be willing to learn new tricks. No matter what, never stop learning. Like a Labrador, be way too excited for everything, good and not so good. That is to say, even when you are stuck in a bus for 8 hours in southern France, take that opportunity to learn a new card game. If 2 school trips are canceled because of a global pandemic and you are stuck in a tent on the quad in January, take the time to develop new friendships with someone you haven't talked to before or take up a hobby. Like a lab, always tug on the leash. Don't let anyone pull or push you around, and take your time to stop and take a whiz in the woods. Because that's beautiful. Like a lab, be friendly with others and protect what and who you love. Like a lab, take every opportunity with grace, sleep on a couch, steal a piece of cake. Take pride in what you do. Enjoy the simple things, take lots of naps, swim in freezing water, enjoy every last morsel of food, lie in the cool grass, eat snow, walk in the woods, shake the rain off your back, sit back and watch, and be friendly. Like a Labrador, enjoy every moment because you have no idea how quickly you'll be up on stage delivering your graduations.
When I first came to Waring, I was terrified of being put on the spot, talking in class and taking opportunities offered to me. I can't recall a time from freshman year that I didn't stutter when asked a question or laugh whenever I felt uncomfortable. In sophomore year, I cried every time I had to read my writing aloud in class or whenever I got a math problem wrong. In junior year, I avoided doing all the things I loved because I was scared of expressing myself. During the summer before senior year, I started finding myself by pursuing the things I was passionate about. I was sewing garments, opening up to people in summer programs, and integrating sustainability into my daily life. For example, I strove to purchase only what I needed, search for alternative options other than using plastic, signing environmental petitions, using sustainable fabrics for my designs, and read about companies to determine whether they are environmentally friendly before purchasing from them. In August, I decided I wanted to co-lead sustainability at Waring. When I began forming my text to Sarah, the leader of Sustainability Lunch, I was hit with waves of insecurity, self-doubt, and guilt. You don't have what it takes to be a leader. Back down before you screw it all up. Despite these thoughts, I hit send on my text. Anxiously, I waited for a response, and then it came. Now I am here standing in front of all of you, and I can confidently say that taking that risk was one of the best decisions I've made at Waring. I met new people with similar interests, shared my research with others, involved my community in my sustainable fashion projects, and led beach cleanups in and out of school. My advice to anybody feeling intimidated by the closeness of Waring: please don't let your fear get in the way of your interests and/or restrict you from being yourself. I promise that if you put in the effort, your life will change and become easier. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank some of the people who have inspired me to be my best self, grow from my experiences, and for providing me with unconditional support. Marika, thank you for seeing my potential when I couldn't see it in myself. Joshua, thank you for showing me how to come out of my shell. Tasha, thank you for always being there for me when I needed a friend. Jackie, thank you for believing in me and pushing me towards my dreams. Barbara, thank you for putting a smile on my face every morning. Stephanie, thank you for supporting me in Sustainability Lunch. KB, thank you for leading a class that made me feel at home. Claire, I couldn't have asked for a better friend throughout the last 9 years. You never left my side and never made me feel bad about being me. I'd like to also thank my wonderful family and close friends for supporting me every step of the way and for making every day a little brighter. I don't know what I would have done without you. Lastly, thank you to the entire Waring community for showing me that if you embrace this school, it becomes your home. I'm so thankful to have been able to learn, love, and grow in this community. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
I would like to start off by thanking my mother for standing by me through everything and helping me become the person I am today. I'd also like to thank my 10th and 11th grade chemistry teacher and personal idol, Ms. Cafasso, for always believing in me and going above and beyond as a teacher. I wouldn't be here today without you. My high school experience hasn't been the most traditional. My freshman year, we were still navigating how school should operate during a pandemic. I spent the second half of my sophomore year on medical leave and had to work double time in my junior year to make up for this lost schooling. Still, despite all this, Waring has ensured that somehow my senior year has been the wildest. In no world would I ever have imagined that the past year could have possibly played out as it did for me. I became a 3-sport varsity athlete in 3 sports I'd never previously played. I slept overnight and played sardines, an alternative hide-and-seek game, in my school building, started the year off by camping with my entire school, referred to the head of my school as Timmy B, and, strangest of all, I now somehow enjoy humanities. What's next? But jokes aside, Waring has given me the best senior year I could ever dream of. As much as I love spending practically every moment of my day in the chemistry room at Gloucester High School, I'm so thankful to Waring for forcing me out of my comfort zone. This past year has taught me so many lessons about myself and the world around me. I could not be happier to take these with me to college. And none of these lessons would have been possible to learn without embracing the wearing way and just trying things no matter how uncomfortable they are. If I could give you all any advice, it would be to embrace life and keep taking risks. The best place to grow won't feel like the safest.
It began with my freshman year, a somber figure trapped in a dimly lit room from dusk to dawn. Waking up, alone, lost in the blazing midday sun, lost in time zones. There I ran through the silence, over the uncertainties, until I reached dusk and matched with my reversed days and nights in China. I crashed into my sophomore year from a roofless plane, which dropped me off from the other side of the world. My eyes were blind with confusing vastness. Every day, my body was pierced by new unforeseen frost. Miraculously, the temple of numerations and permutations lit up for me, led me close and embraced me. Math pulled me out of the abyss and held me. Dragging a freshly pieced together body, I trudged into my junior year. I grew my power to cut through the frost, the thorns, and the clouds. In the land that bears no resemblance to my hometown, I finally painted my own borders in my territory, Desmos. The moment of me connecting all the border lines marked the completion of my first enlightenment. I floated into my senior year from the junior trip. I started this year in a midnight storm, then rode a roller coaster of apprehension, anticipation, and excitement. Now, I'm here at the end of the ride, still anxiously patting my heart, recovering from the journey. but I'm here at the end of the ride. Every journey has a beginning and an end, and in the middle, it can accommodate all the unexpected encounters and long reunions. No one's life will be unimpeded, so please remember to look ahead. Grasp the tiny hope, cherish it in your heart, and you will be invincible.
Hello. Throughout my life, my family's told me that one of my greatest assets is that I'm too humble. And now, the day of my graduation, I'm here to tell you all, I am too humble. In fact, I might be the most humble person I know. Over my time at Waring, I've done some what I deem as pretty impressive work. I've struggled in some parts and excelled at others. I have put in work that was my best work that I could have possibly done, and some other work that could be better. But yet, I stayed humble. Being humble is a great skill of mine and comes in handy. However, I wish I wasn't sometimes. It is nice to be humble and all, don't get me wrong. But what I want to tell the students, but also everyone in general, don't forget to be proud of yourself. I know it's easy to not feel proud of your work or feel that you could always do better. But remember, like me, all of you have put in tremendous amount of work towards this school, and it is important to hype yourself up from time to time. Don't let it inflate your ego or anything, but be proud of yourself and your work. You should always let yourself know that you put in the hard work and deserve praise for it. If you truly work hard on something, you deserve to feel good about it and yourself. Waring can be tough at times and will really frustrate you at times. But remember, stay humble. Things will get hard, work will be annoying, but you all know this because you're Waring students too in some way. Keep your heads up. I'm sure you'll all find your own ways to navigate through Waring. There's always going to be light at the end of a tunnel, such as graduation. I used to not know how I was able to conquer Waring, but now that I've stopped being so humble, I now realize that I'll pass on some advice to you all. Develop good working habits early. Get work done. Don't procrastinate much. Strive for the best and time yourself. The amount of work you put in will be equal to the reward you get for doing it. It may not always feel like it, and your efforts may feel like they're going to waste, but I promise you, eventually, the good working habits you've installed in yourself will always be rewarded. I don't know how many of you are actually listening to this speech. I don't blame you. It's hot, and I would probably want to go home too. And the advice coming from a student does not always reach people, and I'm fine with that. And I will end my speech with a quote from the late Stan Lee that I live my life by. If you have an idea that you genuinely think is good, don't let some idiot talk you out of it. Thank you.
My Waring experience can be summed up in one simple way: my wardrobe year to year. Each year at Waring had something different and important to teach me, and so with that, my fashion changed. So to highlight all the things I am thankful for Waring to have given me, I will use the most prevalent outfit of mine worn from each year to tell the story. Group 1. I came into Waring at rock bottom in terms of fashion. A young, lanky boy with braces and a man bun. My man bun was a phase based for my soccer career, and so I was very excited to play soccer at Waring, but I sure wasn't ready for the kindness, spirit, and camaraderie that was shared on my team my first year, and it has stuck with me in all these years since. Other schools teach you how to be a student just to pass your classes. Waring taught me to find my voice so that I could be part of a larger team and classroom experience. Group 2 was online because of COVID, and so it was my pajama year. To my disappointment, that year I learned that wearing pajamas every day is not as awesome as it seems. I also learned all the connections I have with people around me gave me things I didn't even know I had. 10th grade was the year of my staple, the ugly Star Wars Christmas sweater. Rain or shine, hot or cold, the sweater can be worn, and that's a fact. My parents say that wearing a Christmas sweater in the middle of summer may be an early sign of mental illness, but to me, the sweater is happiness. It elicits coziness, joy, and festivities, which was much needed after a year away from friends, teachers, and everyone who contributes to the true Waring experience. I saw it especially in my teachers who radiated nothing but positivity in the classroom and in the hallways in the passing. This was the year I learned nothing beats a good old positive attitude. Group 4 was a year I had a revelation, realized it was time to buckle down on my academics. Thus far, I had never imagined my life beyond wearing, and so when the thought of college hit me, I knew what I had to do. Dress to impress. This was my suit year. It all started at the beginning of the year when boys varsity soccer had our business psych. My 8th grade writing class then asked that I wear a suit to every class. Tuesdays and Fridays, the suit became my MO. But this was more than just wearing a suit. This was the year that I learned to truly appreciate my academics. I discovered my areas of interest, but I also found a passion for subjects I never would have thought I would like, such as the book discussions on the Iliad and Galadet's class, learning the art of telling a story with Terry, or even teaching my own writing class. Group 5. This year has been different. There hasn't been a go-to outfit for me. As I think about who I want to be and what I want to do next year, I am also thinking about what to wear. This summer, I will surely have to purge my wardrobe as I've grown out of most of my clothes. I will have to give away my old clothes, which I love dearly and have made so many memories in. However, like the memories I've made out wearing and the things they've taught me, I will procure a new wardrobe using the fashion knowledge I picked up over the last couple of years. If you are to take anything from this, let me leave you with these 3 things. Take every opportunity to try something new because you may find a new passion. Meet and enjoy the company of as many students and faculty as you can because they are what makes this place so special. And lastly, find true happiness in getting an ugly Star Wars holiday sweater to be worn on all occasions.
Time and time again, the place I go to for stability when change arrives is the beach. My beach in particular is about a 3-minute walk away from my house. I usually go at the end of the day to see the sunset below the trees on the other side of the cove. Every time is the most beautiful sunset I've ever seen. Today, I get to watch another sunset happen with all of you in the petite cove of the Waring School. Before the sun is gone, I have time to reflect. I look over the sea of my education here. The biggest waves that have hit me have made me a better swimmer. Some of the waves that I can list right off the top of my head are Joshua's unearthing humanities discoveries, Francis's explanations of the workings of the universe, Jill's history lessons and writing critiques, and Steve's incredible knowledge regarding the human mind. I have struggled through these waves, at times treading through them with hands and feet and all my effort. With the patience of the ocean, my teachers have taught me so well, and I've learned to enjoy and surf on these waves. I've learned how to love topics of education, dipping my toes into the water for any waves that pique my interest. I can't thank all my teachers enough for the waves that they have created and continue to create for all who swim in their clear, deep waters. When I am not tackling that sea, I am resting on the warm rocks. My rocks are my friends and my family, who comfort me after cold, difficult swims. They are so kind, fun, and wise, and they have always stayed loyal and honest to me. They have taught me so much about life and what it means to care for a person. I could not have made it through without resting on them from time to time. The trees and the bay I see the sunset behind are my experiences. Although I cannot see them after dark, their presence will always remain dominant in my mind. The fun I had saying our silly chant before every basketball game, carefully sipping piping hot tea while discussing humanities topics, watching people's true fun selves open up and be freed on the ultimate fields, and finding peace and growth with my peers in France. The small plants that line the trees are the everyday experiences. The buzz of chat in the Grand Salle every morning, the strong, unmistakable laughter of the teachers in class and around campus, and the grateful feeling I have every time I get into bed on time at the end of the day. I couldn't have asked for a better cove than this. Today, the sunset is more beautiful than I could ever imagine. For me, when the sun rises, there will be a new cove. But for now, I want to enjoy the serenity of this special one. Thank you, Waring School, for this beloved world you have provided for me to grow in.
My first few years at Waring, I remember being extremely nervous. I saw older students and faculty who seemed nothing short of legendary in my mind. Everyone seemed put together, intelligent beyond anything I had experienced, and towered over me in stature. I know that I could never live up to the heroic status that I had made them up to be. The standard metaphor is that I had big shoes to fill, but that wasn't the case. I had massive shoes to fill. I had enormous shoes to fill. I had colossal shoes to fill. How could I ever do such a thing? The answer is I couldn't. I thought it would be different now as a senior, about to graduate, but it most definitely is not. Sometimes I still feel like an 8th grader. However, the greatest gift that wearing has given me has come over time. It is something that has been the culmination of lessons in each and every class year. Even though I still feel so small in the world, and I know that I still have shoes to fill, and I still look up to those with more years of experience and teachings to give me, I now look to them with curiosity and wonder what more they have to offer. I've been given knowledge to know how to ask questions instead of avoiding people out of fear or intimidation. Perspective is a wild thing, and for this I owe so many thanks to all my teachers who, instead of making me just study for tests, memorize facts, and prepare presentations, have talked to me, inspired me, and taken interest in my passions. To everyone in their younger stages of their wearing journey, talk to the big people. We think you guys are pretty cool. Equally important though, never underestimate the power of communication, curiosity, and care for those around you, even if it is terrifying. Lean into those values, and no pair of shoes will be too large.
As the 3 members of the Student Advisory Council for the class of 2024, we are pleased to announce our senior gift. We will be giving Waring School 3 lilac bushes.
We have planted them on the hill to the left, if you're looking at the school building, to the left, in between the new school building and the stairs.
We hope that these bushes are well cherished and smell good.
Every morning for the past 8 years, my brother and I have passive-aggressively tried to walk faster than the other to get to the front seat. Often he gets there first, but I guilt-trip him into giving it back to me with an excuse like, "It's my birthday week, you can have it on the ride home. It's my senior year, please." Or most recently, "It's my last ride to school." My mom consistently turns on an astrology report within the first 5 minutes, to which I'll retort that I absolutely cannot do my humanities reading while an exasperatingly zen voice reports on how May will be different because Mars is in Venus or something like that. After which she will proceed to turn the volume down a few notches, maybe. Once we get into Ipswich, we'll stop to drop our dog off at doggy daycare and pause at Little Wolf for croissants and coffee. And if we're really lucky that day, we may catch a glimpse of a pair of middle-aged twins fast walking at a 45-degree angle, or 2 iconic donkeys grazing in a field in Hamilton. Since the beginning of this year, seniors have been getting to school later and later. Because my mom has to be there early, by extension, so do I. So most mornings, I kill time by just sitting in the parked car by the fence with my mom while she does her makeup, chatting about what we have going on, and it's become one of my favorite moments of the day. I've realized that driving to school every day, rain or shine, on the same route is somewhat of an in-between. I'm someone who struggles with staying present. I'm constantly thinking about the next thing, and I find myself, at Waring especially, sometimes overlooking the importance of these in-between times like driving to school. But I've found that these moments, you may call them liminal moments, are so often where the magic happens, both at Waring and beyond our time here. These are the moments that hold everything together. Moments like talking with Joshua to plan out what he wanted to call the propaganda van in place of the lilac bushes for our senior gift. Or KB making fun of me for how I forgot to turn the car off in the morning and she had to go into the car herself and turn it off for me. Barbara pulling me aside to attempt to tell me intimidatingly that I still had to fill out my activities form even though I'm a senior. walking up the stairs from the Grand Salle to be greeted by Josh Webb giving me a professional nod as I walk by, or sitting on the floor in Jill's office eating an apple and talking about yet another draft of an essay that I'm overthinking. These moments, these in-betweens, are what I'm going to miss most about Waring. These things that couldn't happen at any other school and under any other circumstances would be considered pretty weird. So hold on to them, cherish them, because before you know it, you'll be writing your graduation speech. These tiny moments, these liminal spaces, are what make Waring truly magical.
Guys, I'm not a nerd, is maybe the phrase I said most often in my first year at Waring. I was adamant that my obsession with C.S. Lewis, my love of ancient Greek city-states, and my devotion to niche PBS history documentaries didn't make me a nerd. Even though I detested the label, my nerdiness was embraced by my teachers and peers here at Waring. Francis encouraged me to join the robotics team. Tim Averill welcomed me to debate. In 7th grade, I stopped playing hockey, so I could no longer rely on my favorite comeback when someone called me a nerd. I can't be a nerd, I play hockey. Freshman year, while I was at a Shakespeare and philosophy summer camp, my refusal to accept that I was a nerd led to my fellow campers buying me a shirt that said, "Nerd, I prefer the term intellectual badass." Over the years, my abhorrence for the term nerd has disappeared. Now as a senior, I enthusiastically embrace it. Waring's multi-talented population taught me that being a nerd is not about social awkwardness or questionable fashion decisions. It's about possessing a love of learning. Ari and Eli acted out a platonic dialogue for my all-school meeting on philosophy. Theo, one of the biggest nerds I know, enlightens me with everything there is to know about birds. My French class last year, under the expert directorship of Tim Backlund, passionately made a French art film adaptation of Love Island. Waring is a unique environment where everyone, students and teachers alike, no matter if you're an athlete, an artist, or a poet, can feel comfortable sharing their passions. Waring is a community whose binding principle is a love of learning for its own sake. Instead of learning to ace a test or getting into Princeton, yikes, we at Waring believe knowledge is an end in itself. I've learned that anything, if looked at correctly, is an opportunity to acquire knowledge. Whether it's embracing the silence on a walk with my humanities class, captaining various watercraft across the stream during flood season, or applying my physics knowledge of the mu static coefficient to make my drive to school a little bit shorter. Every day is a chance to learn. So my fellow students, I want to pass on to you the most valuable lesson Waring has taught me. Embrace your nerdiness. A love of learning is not something to be hidden away from the world in shame, but something to be cherished, cultivated, and shared. Thank you.
Before Waring, I'd been to 8 schools. I dropped out of preschool, I kid you not. I left my next school after 1st grade because this girl named Hannah kept putting inchworms in my Lunchables. And I spent the next few years transferring in and out of every school I could. I wasn't a problem child. I didn't bully kids or mouth off to teachers. I just liked having the option to bail out and try somewhere new. Whenever I got into a disagreement with a classmate, or someone called me weird, or made fun of my Halloween costume, Jessie from Toy Story, which was both adorable and genius, I would switch schools almost without a second thought. A few weeks before starting at Waring, my mom challenged me to last 4 years here. To me, 4 years in one place felt impossible. My first year at Waring was tough. I made almost no friends, had no front teeth, and was fairly certain I joined a cult. But, too stubborn to admit defeat, I stayed anyway, for 6 years. These past few weeks, my classmates have been talking a lot about change, and I've avoided the topic. Having switched schools on purpose so many times, I used to see change as my savior, never considering how scary it could actually be. In a few moments, we'll all get our diplomas. In a few months, we'll be scattered across the country and the world, separated by thousands of miles. In a few years, it might be hard to remember everyone's name or every little detail of our time here. Waring won't just be the place where I performed a song and dance routine to get my phone back from Barbara, or where 3 of my friends and 1 teacher went missing on a camping trip, and all I could think was, wow, they must have canoed really far ahead of us. They're really good. Waring will probably settle in my mind as the school I attended for 6 years that may or may not have been a cult, but I'm still not sure on that one. I've been trying to find a better way to conceptualize change. Sometimes it's a promise that things won't stay the same for too long. Other times it's a push in a direction you're not excited or willing to move in. But my senior year has been characterized by it nonetheless. I don't quite understand how to define it yet, but I do know one thing. I've been viewing change all wrong. It isn't there to save you from inchworms in your Lunchables. Instead, change is here to remind you of what's special, what's worth holding on to. Change has shown me that while nothing good lasts forever, the memories, lessons, and friendship we forge are what truly endure. So, as we all step into the next chapter of our lives, I want my peers to embrace change, not as something to fear, but as an opportunity to grow and discover. Change isn't here to upend our plans. It's here to shape us into who we're meant to become. Thank you.
Summing up 7 years of life in a 2-minute speech is no easy feat. Thinking about all my years at Waring, all the experiences I've had, all the things I've done, and most of all the people that have helped me get here, is overwhelming, to say the least. I have never understood the term, "it takes a village," more than I do now. It truly took a village to get me over this finish line. Ever since my wonderful and brilliant siblings went to Waring, there was an expectation, a belief in my family that I would be the next in the great Patey line to pass through these hallowed halls. The first crack in this plan came in kindergarten, when I couldn't remember that A said ah, something I remember now without even trying, not to brag. And was soon after diagnosed with dyslexia. As the years dragged on and I still couldn't read or write, the idea of Waring seemed to get farther and farther away. But one day, my lovely mother worked her magic and found me an angel in the form of a reading and writing tutor named Rebecca. She brought us hope for the first time in a while that Waring might not be so far out of reach. She is, without a doubt, the reason I was accepted to Waring in the first place. Even after being accepted to Waring, the dream of making it through still felt frail and shaky. Being at Waring in those first couple of years felt like I hit a roadblock at every turn. However, I soon realized that whenever I thought there was something I couldn't do, there was someone there to tell me I could, to make it happen for and with me. My 7th grade math and French teachers, Julie and Anna-Marie, embodied this perfectly. Both of these people met with me every week outside of class without fail to make sure I was staying caught up. Over the years, I was able to become more independent, figuring out problems on my own and understanding work. It was still not smooth sailing. It involved a lot of banging my head against a wall, tears over math homework with my dad, and my mom reading many books to me while I took notes. This was not an easy time for anyone in my little village. It was a time of struggle and doubt. But change doesn't come all at once, and like a tree sending out roots, Waring turned from a struggle, from fighting to keep my head above water, to swimming. Classes became enjoyable. I was able to read and take marginalia on my own. I traveled the seas with Odysseus, explored the halls of Thornfield, discovered what it means to be beloved, and walked with Prior and Harper in paradise. I worked through math problems on my own and spoke French with shopkeepers in Provence. One day, I looked up and realized I wasn't scared of Waring anymore. I wasn't scared I wouldn't make it, that it wasn't for me. Waring was where I was meant to be, and I hope in my next chapter I can feel about some place the way I felt about Waring. That I can look back one day and say, wow, I was so scared, but now it is my home. Thank you.
we really need to figure something out here. 44th commencement, 45th commencement, 46th commencement. I think, Robin, we might need your help on that. We'll get it right. I'm calling it the 45th commencement. And what an amazing one it's been. Thank you, class of 2024, for your amazing work. Through fire and rain, from Portland to Paris, on roads less traveled to the Champs-Élysées, with marginalia decorated from the fringes to the core, fashionistas, philosophers, film critics, physicists, friends always, the class of 24. Over your tenures at Waring, seniors, and in the recent years, you've grown into trusted leaders and mentors, and particularly in the most recent weeks and days and in these last 90 minutes or so, we have heard your personal testimonials on learning and being at Waring. You have spoken of an interconnectedness inherent to learning, and you've spoken of the many elements of a continuing experience that you'll bring with you, well beyond here, well beyond this place and time, and yet somehow always connected to this place and time. As you've looked ahead, seniors, you've turned to trusted faculty and mentors for words of wisdom as you continue in your journeys. As part of your recent project in health class with Tamor, you sought us out to have conversations about college and beyond. True to form, your inquiry and genuine curiosity inspired some of the following sage words from our faculty. Decide what is important to you and align your actions with those values. Don't forget culture. Don't forget politeness. Be able to narrate your own experience to others and represent yourself. You'll learn more from failure than success. Form relationships with your college professors. The future can be long, but the present is fleeting. Pay attention and settle into life in this present. Own your mistakes, live without regret. Remember that hope is a verb. Remember that love is a verb. Don't ignore the transcendent. Of course, along with these came from our faculty a fair share of good practical advice, believe it or not. Drink water. Have a filing cabinet with your tax documents. Remember that Google is not your doctor. I have a hard time with that. I'm a lifelong hypochondriac. And, one day on my gravestone it will read, "Now do you believe me?" In some cases, seniors, our faculty did not agree in their advice. Don't join a fraternity, says one. Join a fraternity, says another. Gosh. Seniors, that you've not only given advice today and over the years to younger students, but also asked it of us and done so through conversation. That gives testimony to the interconnected lives of purpose that you lead, and it frankly bodes very well for each of you as you continue to take these next important steps. Now, stylistically speaking, on a spectrum between speaking on broad themes and giving more direct words of advice, I fall on the thematic side. I do not take the fireside approach to these events, nor do I attempt to list the 101 keys to college and beyond. That's not me, and frankly, I don't think it's us. In hearing your words, though, seniors, I do want to lean into a couple of your own notions, and with very much of a yes and mentality, as we'd say in theater or improv, to give just a couple of pieces of encouragement in our continuing dialogue as you become Waring alumni. Seniors, you've beautifully expressed the way others have buoyed you, and you've expressed a keen sense of your own individuality. There are indeed profound moments in our growth and education that occur in a wondrous solitude. Summer afternoons lost in a novel, a late night working with our hands on a project, the exhilarating struggle to solve an equation with the skills we've honed just enough to go it alone. But more often than not, and this is reflected in your words today, seniors, and despite notable exceptions, we will ultimately, inevitably, gravitate to others as we learn and grow. I would challenge you then, seniors, to seek out and embrace conversations and relationships with people whose ideas will challenge your own notions, just as you've been doing here. And vice versa. Stay true to your own ethic while having an openness to real dialogue, which will help shape and reshape your own ideas as you engage with people with whom you might not likely or typically or conveniently find yourselves. Welcome unlikely exchanges, seniors. Be open to a conversation that is not predictable or easy, where the outcome is not always straightforward or has a foregone conclusion. In a day and age when the liberal arts have become politicized by all sides on the spectrums, and when we tend to cluster in like-minded groups, and at worst in comfortable echo chambers, be courageous, seniors, in all your dealings. Remember that the liberal arts are by definition a freeing and liberating of our minds to reflect and reason and synthesize, and not a reliance on what we assume we ought to think or ought to do. You are a rather philosophical group, class of 24, and that was evidenced by your words today, and even by recent conversations at the table at our senior dinner this week. You apply broad universal concepts from a diversity of sources and times and peoples to your learning and even to everyday decision making. And so I'd invite you all, perhaps one day sooner than later, to recall, reread, contemplate, and consider Plato's famous allegory of the cave and how this timeless allegory applies just as aptly to the present as it did more than 2 millennia ago. By the way, for film lovers among you, The Truman Show is a very worthy modern retelling of this allegory. I still consider it a new movie, even though it predates all of you seniors. I can't believe it. So let me give you a very down-to-earth anecdote that happened just last night. It's late at night. It's after a beautiful but long day of rehearsals and scurrying last-minute preparations for what was to be a very moving baccalaureate ceremony. I flipped on the television, took on the end of the Celtics playoff victory, and then I found myself on my television's home screen. Drifting rather mindlessly between media apps on the TV, I chuckled out loud as each one of these apps suggested shows I might watch, music I might want to listen to, because other viewers that were like me had listened to XYZ or watched ABC. Complicating matters, of course, is the fact that I have 2 children who have entered the family's algorithmic spaces in the cloud. And so there I found myself, just right over there last night, on an evening when I'm supposed to be thinking about words of wisdom and on breaking out of the status quo, and you all seniors, and I'm being counseled by the cloud to watch a documentary on education, a film version of Pride and Prejudice, Octonauts Adventures, and Ninja Turtles. It goes to you, Earl. While Apple Music suggests that I should want to listen to Beethoven's Pastoral, the best of Emmylou Harris, Olivia Rodrigo's Driver's License, and Taylor Swift's Anti-Hero. I was quite literally, seniors, living out the allegory of the cave right there in my living room, with Plato's flickering shadows replaced by screen and media apps which conveniently fed my reality, my prefab world, all ready to consume. Next episode, 5, 4, 3. Next episode, 2. Next episode, 5, 4. Are you still watching, Timothy? We all know this story. Seniors, to find yourselves in a world that is genuinely your own and interconnected with others means having the courage to reach beyond what is convenient or easy or streaming on repeat. Casey, maybe there's an allegory of the art of making a thoughtful mixtape somewhere in there. In Plato's allegory, to ascend from shadows means questioning what is splashed before our eyes. It means questioning assumptions and biases. It will mean periods of disbelief, temporary blindness, hard, engaging conversation, and an ultimate transformation and conversion into a more genuine, fulfilled self among community. Let us not forget that education, educare, denotes a leading out of ourselves, a leading out by others, a leading out among others. Yes, yes, yes. And that the liberal arts, if they are to lead us out, ultimately out, and to a freeing of the mind, then we must be open to an interconnectedness with others that challenges each of us to look beyond ease, convenience, and predictability in relationships, in media, in our individual pursuits. So fashionistas and philosophers, film critics and physicists, build on the very words you have spoken. Continue to challenge each other and buoy each other as you stretch yourselves toward an even more authentic version of you. Embrace diverse and unlikely opportunities in an interconnected world. Keep true to your ethic. Embrace the transcendent. Thank you. Members of the class of 2024, please rise. The faculty of Waring School recommends the awarding of diplomas to the following 19 students who have completed Waring's required course of study. By the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees and the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, I hereby confer the Waring School Diploma to the following students, with all of the privileges and responsibilities thereunto appertaining.
Okay, you guys ready? All right, it's been a while. You're doing it. All right. Ani Makayla Bagley. Ari. Oh, sorry. I did this in the right way. Ari James Bloom. Alexandra Grace Brevday. Jiming Kai. Hannah Dash Crandall. Julian David Hidalgo. Casey Hildebrand. Sophia Jospin Loyacano. Eleanor Catherine Knowles. Matthew Connor Lishan Lee. Claire Elise Lewis. Eliza Louise Loring. Carmela Lucia Mastrangelo. Sarah Hope Patey. Charles Stephen Francis Pound. April Isabel Smith. Elijah Golden Streb. Theodore Fernley Van Allen. Makayla Ruth Whitaker Bennett.
One more time for 24, everyone.